You are always held with unconditional love. When you look up at the moon and stars, you can feel your soul's connection to the entire universe and all its beings. It's possible to make every decision with your mind, body, and spirit in total alignment and wholeness. I'm Divinely Jennifer, translating astrology and health in ways you've never experienced before so that you can choose the path that is right for you. And this is the juicy astrology for the new moon in Cancer on July 9th, 2021. Welcome. Hello, beauty. Thank you for joining me for the juicy astrology for the new moon in Cancer on July 9th, 2021. We're also going to talk about the energy and some of the feelings that are going to come up, some of the patterns we're going to see with this entire lunar cycle. I tell you, it feels like an eternity ago that we experienced the solar eclipse new moon in Gemini on June 10th. The energy has shifted so much, but there were many challenges we've had to face to get here. And indeed, we're going to continue to face those challenges like every hero and heroine on their journey. This lunar cycle takes us fully into the energy of summer for those of us in the northern hemisphere and fully into the energy of winter in the southern hemisphere. Overall, there are a lot more challenging than supportive aspects. However, think of these challenges as catapults to get you to the next level. Despite many of the outer planets and asteroids in retrograde or going retrograde during the cycle, the energy feels pretty fast moving, as if time is passing more swiftly than we can keep up with. This new moon in Cancer in her home sign is really lovely. It's an opportunity to tend to our hurts and the hurts of our loved ones. How can you bring kindness and sunshine to somebody's day? When I was traveling last week, I purchased a little wooden cutout that said, "Be the reason someone smiles today." How are you the reason that somebody smiles today? Is that something you even think about during the course of your day? Or do you have a tendency to get stuck in shadow or victim mode, to be constantly on the defensive and take things personally? I just read a beautiful passage from Richard Rudd today while I was eating lunch in one of his writings about the gene keys. And he said, "As long as you feel love, then you are home." That is a quintessence of Cancer energy, and especially of this new moon. This moon asks us, she entreats us to bring love into the world, to love ourselves and to love our family, whether we're related by blood or soul or both. There is so much change going on in the world, and we can choose between two constants. We can choose the constant of love, or we can choose the constant of fear. We can stay in the pattern of shaming and blaming and pointing fingers, or we can feel into the deep love, the ancient love of Source that binds us all together with Mother Earth, with the cosmos, and with each other. Set your intention for this lunar cycle around love. You can't go wrong. And if you would like a copy of your birth chart so that you know where this new moon fits in your chart and impacts you most strongly, please send me an email at hello@divinelyjennifer.com, or better yet, you can book a reading with me from my website, and we can talk about all of the juicy details. This oh-so-personal lunar cycle brings the potential for relationships to take a beating. So there's all that love in the air, but there's also this potential. Venus in Leo is feeling courageous and creative, and she doesn't want anyone holding her back. When in Leo, she is about romance and great sex. She's definitely not vanilla. She's more like berry delight with chocolate swirls and little white chocolate chips and maybe a smattering of pecans in there too. And with her square to Uranus on July 8th, she is really, really ready to be innovative and give and receive love and abundance in all new ways. Venus needs to express her creativity, including sensually. She wants to feel valued and to provide value. Many people are starting to realize that their relationships, although at one point helpful and nourishing, are no longer aligned with who they are becoming and how they desire to be of service in the world. If you can't freely express your creativity in a relationship, then perhaps it's time to feel into whether or not it's for your highest good, or if there's a way to have the hard conversations around allowing your creativity to see the light of day. This includes how we give and receive pleasure in our intimate relationship. Of course, the South Node in Sagittarius, conjunct to Juno, the goddess of marriage, reminds us that it's always best and much less complicated to release the old before calling in something new. Should I stay or should I go is the theme song for this lunar cycle. If you ever danced to that back in middle school or high school, it's kind of hard to dance to because it goes slow, fast, because it's that energy of should I stay? No, should I go? And you're back and forth. And that's really the energy you're going to keep feeling in this lunar cycle and probably in the next one too. Although Mars is at the front of the pack until July 13, Venus is truly the leader for this lunar cycle and will continue to be so until she goes retrograde in Capricorn in December. Mars is very protective of her right now, as they are within orb of their conjunction on Tuesday. So they're going to come together in the sky on Tuesday, and they're already feeling that magnetism and that chemistry between them. And they'll stay fairly close together for this entire lunar cycle. Venus will run off on her own after the new moon on August 8th. The boys, Mars, Mercury, and the Sun, are following Venus around like testosterone-full adolescents who have a crush on the most gorgeous girl in school and are competing for her affections. While this bodes well for the rise of the divine feminine, it doesn't always give clarity to a situation. The irony is that Venus loves everybody. Real love doesn't have to compete. Venus will move into Virgo, the sign of her fall, just before the full moon. In Virgo, she is serious, dedicated, and practical. If you've taken the time to romance her, she will reward you with actions that speak louder than words. If not, she'll turn her attention where she feels it really matters, particularly in healing, health, and her daily work. This uncertainty in the first half of the lunar cycle is compounded by the fact that the sun is answering to the moon during this time. The sun won't know what he wants until he steps into Leo, the sign of his rulership, on July 22nd, where he truly asks us to shine our light, act boldly, and be the leaders of ourselves. Until then, take the time to feel the feels, nourish yourself, your family, and the land on which you live. With Mercury entering Cancer on Sunday after the new moon, your communications will be infused with a new sensitivity that they lacked in Gemini. Speak from the heart, and remember that crying can come from both sadness and joy. People often cry in their sessions with me because they feel seen and heard, and I take that as a very high compliment. This is the first new moon since that intense Mercury retrograde in Gemini. Although Mercury is now traveling new territory since the retrograde, I don't expect the delusions and lies in the collective to end anytime soon, unfortunately. They will keep circling back as more and more censorship is met with more cries for free speech. As Don Miguel Ruiz wrote in his book, The Four Agreements, we live in a time where it is best to be impeccable with your word. Health-wise, many of us are experiencing what happens in our body when we don't fully express our creativity, our purpose, or we are suppressing our purpose and gifts because we are afraid how it might affect or how we might be judged by those we love. This new world is asking so much of us. Inflammation comes with heat and fire, and that is exactly what so many people are experiencing right now. I tell you, I know so many people just in the last couple of days who are dealing with some serious gastrointestinal purging, and they don't even live on the same continent. These are people around the world. It's pretty wild. And that is the energy. It's like this purging and this inflammation and this fire in the belly. This new moon in Cancer in water comes at the perfect time to remind us of the myriad healing effects of water. Even a cool, wet washcloth across the forehead can do wonders when we're overheated. I also find that high-quality organic CBD salve can help cool inflammation, whether in my joints or in my head. If I'm feeling angry or anxious or there's some fire going on in there, if I put some CBD salve on my temples, it just helps to cool me down. And I do have gift cards for my favorite CBD salve. So if you're interested, please email me at hello@divinelyjennifer.com. At any rate, pay attention in your body, mind, and soul. Where do you feel it most when you are not able to express your creativity? Do you breathe differently when you do express yourself? Your creativity is not going away. It will continue to be expressed until you let it fly free, especially over the next couple of months, the next couple of lunar cycles. The more we suppress our creativity, especially with substances like sugar, alcohol, or drugs, the more it will beg to be let out, and the more we will feel it in our body. Remember that the world needs your gifts and creativity. No one else on the planet brings exactly what you bring to make this world a better place and to impact the people around you in the best possible ways. Ask this benevolent new moon to support you and nourish you. And if you're not sure how, book a reading with yours truly, and it will be my privilege and pleasure and honor to enlighten this path for you. Now, let's get to the juicy astrology for this new moon. This new moon occurs at 6:16 p.m. on Friday, July 9th, 2021 at 18 degrees and 1 minute of Cancer. You can see them right here. The sun and moon are on their own. They have no tight major aspects with other planetary bodies. They're loosely trine to Neptune here in Pisces, supporting our deepest, most loving dreams. They're loosely square to Chiron and Eris here in Aries, encouraging us to take action towards healing our wounds. And they are loosely opposed to Pluto here in Capricorn. So there may be some both external and internal power struggles as you move towards transforming your wounds into love. This new moon in Cancer is personal, as both the moon and sun are considered personal celestial bodies, and the moon rules Cancer. That does not mean that you are supposed to take everything personally. Nope. That is the shadow side of Cancer, feeling super sensitive. Knocked my glass over almost. Feeling super sensitive and taking every remark as a criticism. Instead, tap into the light side of Cancer. Take responsibility for yourself. Be accountable for your feelings, actions, and words. Cancer is also the master of empathy. We can so easily shift our perspective by putting ourselves in someone else's shoes. This doesn't mean tolerating bad behavior, but it does allow us to release the grip of fear and blame if we're feeling a little judgy. There are not a lot of aspect patterns with this new moon. As you can see, everybody's kind of doing their own thing or working in pairs. As I mentioned, so Mars and Venus are here in Leo, and they're going to have their conjunction. They're going to come together on Tuesday. And then Juno and the South Node are here in Sagittarius within a degree of each other. And they just came together on July 6th, and they'll do so again right around the next new moon. Now, there are two grand trines, one in fire and one in earth. And paradoxically, it's like we can breathe a little more easily with less air energy in the sky, less Gemini in the sky. The grand trine in fire is formed by the South Node and Juno here in Sagittarius, Chiron in Aries, and Venus here in Leo. So it kind of makes this, you can see this triangle shape here of the grand trine. And this pattern gives us a free pass for deep healing and love in our intimate partnerships, even if that means letting those partnerships go. Saturn in Aquarius down here is sextile to both Chiron in Aries and to the South Node in Juno. And then Saturn is still opposing an orb of the opposition to Venus. And that forms what's called a kite and gives new energy to the commitments where we want to focus. If we feel tightly constricted, we can call on Venus here to set us free. Likewise, a grand trine in Earth with Pluto in Capricorn, Ceres in Taurus, and Vesta in Virgo. And again, that looks like this. You can see how the triangle is formed with this grand trine. Whoop. This provides easy flowing energy to stand in our power and take control of our bodies. No matter what fearful messages and propaganda the mainstream media, government, and even celebrities are getting paid to spread, no one can force you to do something with your body that you don't want to do. They may try to shame you with their lies and pressure. Gosh, do I know so many people who said, I didn't want to do it, but my job made me, or I just felt like I had to. You can use this grand trine to feel your divine sovereignty and listen instead to the messages of your body and your intuition. Now, with Neptune and Pallas Athena and Pisces sextile to Ceres and to Pluto, and then opposite to Pallas and Neptune, they form a kite in water. So you can also use this energy to ground into your dreams for a healthcare system that supports all and includes nature and Mother Earth at its core. With Pallas Athena here, you might even strategize with friends how to give this new system structure. I was just talking today with a new friend about the importance of women's circles and gathering in person for our health and well-being, how important it is for us to gather in ritual with the lunar cycle, with full moons, especially a lot of full moon circles coming up. And I'm going to be sharing one with you at the end of this recording, so stay tuned. We'll also be feeling the residual energy of the T-square between Venus here and Saturn in Aquarius and Uranus in Taurus. So that looks like this. So you can see Venus is square to Uranus, who's also square to Saturn. And Saturn and Venus are in opposition. This is called a T-square with Uranus at the focus here. Uranus wants to shake things up in love, relationships, and finances, especially where we are out of alignment. Do you notice how sometimes you feel a certain way in your body when you are out of alignment in your relationships? I know some people who even get sick and then they leave the relationship and they're not sick anymore. Venus is all too willing to try something new when she's in Leo, but Saturn in Aquarius might throw up some boundaries and remind us of our previous commitments. So feel into that. There is also a quick moving T-square today between Vesta in Virgo, opposite Pallas Athena in Pisces, and they're both squaring Mercury in Gemini. And that looks like this. See that? It's called a T-square. It's like a right angle triangle. And Mercury is the focus here, as Vesta and Pallas will not tolerate Mercury's running of the mouth. This is another reminder to be impeccable with our word and to avoid gossip, lies, and criticism. It is best to use our words and social media platforms in a diplomatic, and loving way. Don't let communication contribute to the polarity out there. It's pretty crazy. All right. And then finally, there is a hammer of Thor between Vesta here in Virgo, squaring Mercury. We just talked about that square a little bit. But they're in a hammer of Thor with Saturn. So it forms like the blade of Thor's axe. Remember Thor from Marvel characters and Greek mythology. And this, so they're in what's Mercury and Vesta are in what's called a sesquiquadrate to Saturn. And this is really interesting energy. Vesta, here in Virgo, the divine goddess of home, health, and hearth, and the midwife of birth and harvest, does not appreciate the constant messages, Mercury, coming from corporations, Saturn and Aquarius. To me, this transit really highlights the struggle of the divine feminine and the divine masculine to take their rightful place as balanced beacons of light and love in our world. But it can also represent their commitment and resolve to being successful in this quest, especially with the grand trine in Earth that I mentioned. So every transit can be used, like I always say, you can use the light side or the shadow side. And I always feel like it's best to use the light side as much as possible, because that makes our lives a lot easier. And it also helps us to be more Cancerian, empathic towards others. Well, in perfect Uranus fashion, we just had an earthquake here in the Sierra foothills. That is incredibly unusual. And we looked on the map and there were not one, but 2 earthquakes here, one in the Central Valley, one over by Mono Lake. So Uranus does not disappoint. He wants to shake things up and he's going to do it in his way. I love it. I love it. So just to close things off here, overall, if you have been holding off on starting anything new or signing any paperwork, the next 10 days are really supportive for moving forward with all of those conversations and that you may have had, all the seeds that have been planted. As always, if you want to book a reading with me, an astrology and health reading, I am here to support you. Please go to my website at www.divinelyjennifer.com and you can book a session right there on the page. And if for some reason there's a time you're in some part of the world that it just doesn't jive with the times that I have, please send me an email at hello@divinelyjennifer and we will find a time that works for you. I did want to tell you about this full moon retreat that I will be attending as both a participant, and I will be offering discounted readings there. It is at a hot springs in the Central Valley of here in California, and starts with a full moon on September 20th, lasts till September 23rd. I'm super excited to be gathering in a healing circle and connecting with other like-minded women. So if you're interested in attending, there aren't a whole lot of spots left. So please send me an email at hello@divinelyjennifer.com and I will send you all of the info. And as always, as well, please sign up for my mailing list on my website at www.divinelyjennifer.com so that you don't miss a beat. Please take a moment to like if you're listening to this on YouTube or on SoundCloud. Maybe make a positive comment. It's so helpful to share this information. You never know who you might be helping if this video or audio shows up in their algorithm. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this and sharing it with your friends. I've been getting so much good feedback and I am so, so grateful and appreciative. I will be back tomorrow with a video and audio for the Juicy Astrology for July 10th through the first quarter moon on July 17th. Sending you all so, so much love. I'm Divinely Jennifer. Have a beautiful day.